de 8 a 10 de la mañana por Heraldo Televisión.
La información es poder. Y para estar bien informado, te invito a que veas todos los días Noticias de la Tarde.
No presenta golpes o lesión.
Conozca los hechos más importantes de México y cada rincón del mundo. Además, el análisis, reportajes especiales, entrevistas con los personajes que hacen la noticia. Yo soy Jesús Martín Mendoza y te espero en Noticias de la Tarde de lunes a viernes a las 2 por el Heraldo Televisión.
¿Quieres que tu negocio crezca y todo parece indicar que el camino es Estados Unidos? Te dijeron que abras una LLC para que no pagues impuestos, mas no tienes idea de cómo hacerlo. Soy Edmundo Treviño y quiero compartir contigo más de 20 años como empresario en Estados Unidos para que tú no te equivoques en los mismos errores que yo ya realicé. Sígueme en todas las redes sociales para que juntos conquistemos el mercado americano.
Broadcasting live from Houston, from the space city to the world. You are watching Now Media Television.
Talk with Natalia and Mac. My name is Natalia Ołowska-Czajka, and I am an advocate, which is attorney, mediator, and arbitrator, originally based in Warsaw, Poland. But I am also certified as a Florida Supreme Court certified family mediator.
Hi, I'm Mac Pierre-Louis, attorney, mediator, and arbitrator. And Natalia and I are on the LMI podcast regularly. And so we are growing from the podcast to now doing this live show every week. And so we're glad to be here. And we're looking forward to bringing you interesting topics about the law every time that we can get in front of this screen.
And what we also wanted to say is that our original idea about this show is that it should be interactive with the public. We want to bring law closer to people and people closer to the law. For us, it means that any legal question, any legal issue that may arise and you think in your everyday life or in your business or anything connecting to conflict resolution is a topic for us that we would want to pick up, and we would be absolutely happy if you contact us, tell us what you want to hear and know, and we will do everything possible so that we present it for you, and we want everybody to be able to ask questions and see, therefore, the answers. This is also why the show later on will be divided into 12-minute segments that will be independently searchable in the internet, so that a little library of things that we touched on this program will be available.
So be sure to follow up. We have lots of different ways you can stay in contact. The best way is through our common website, alaskapier.com. And that website will be a gateway to all of our projects. And the other way you can follow us and listen and watch is through the LMI podcast. That's at LMI Podcast. You can just go to YouTube /at LMI Podcast. Now, if you want to email us, of course, there will be different ways you can contact us, but one of the emails is, of course, team@alaskapier.com. And if you want to follow us, of course, go over to Twitter, and you can check out at LMI Podcast there as well, so you can stay in contact to everything that we're trying to do.
And being attorneys for many, many years and having a developed legal practice in the courts, mainly focusing on family law but also doing some other areas of law, what we noticed is that courts are not necessarily the most friendly place and not necessarily the place where your conflict finds the best solution. So knowing that and thinking of it, we, with all due respect to judges and the courts, who are actually everywhere in the world these days overloaded with work, we thought to ourselves that mediation, which is becoming more and more popular wherever it takes, is the way to expand not just our practices, but also our podcast. And this is what we want also to bring closer in this show, because we believe that mediation, so outside of court, possibility of resolve your legal dispute, is the solution for the court's backlog, the solution for the court's inadequacy to certain issues that people are encountering in their lives. But also, it is something that is simply friendlier.
So we wanted to go over some mediation basics and some things that would help you if you want to stay out of court and avoid the unknowns of what a judge might do. And Natalia and I, we focus mostly on family law these days in our private practices. However, when we talk about mediation or broadly conflict resolution, we're discussing things that happen in the areas of personal injury, employment law, insurance law, any kind of situation that two people find themselves in where they have legal problems. They're able to resolve the disputes amicably, with the help of a good mediator, of course. So Natalia and I were also arbitrators, and so we not only help people resolve the differences as a third-party neutral, but we also help people who come to us for our expertise so that we can help them make a decision where they trust us as a private judge. That's what an arbitrator basically is. And so we wanted to go through just a few basic points in the short time we have left to remind you of why it's best to go through mediation instead of litigation. Natalia, you want to give a few points?
Oh, yes, absolutely. First of all, I think that everybody might ask themselves, so why I actually should go to mediation if I can simply hire a lawyer and pursue my claim in the court? I'm going to win. What we say basically usually about mediation is a win-win solution. Why? Because this is the only solution where you can get the feeling that you actually gain something for yourself and not necessarily upon the cost of other party, which then shows that mediated settlement agreements are more likely to be followed than court judgments.
Well, sometimes parties who fear going to jail may not want to disrespect the judge's order. However, it is true that when parties come together and do a mediated agreement, they are more likely to believe that they had input, that they had a say in the final outcome. And so therefore, we hope that they're going to follow the agreement. Certainly, nobody wants to be told, well, you agreed to it, why aren't you following it? Most people will comply. However, it's just certainly cheaper, it's faster, it's quicker to get resolution. You don't have to wait months of time for a judge to hear a case. And it's just more efficient to do it this way, privately. So for some of these reasons, and also not just cost, but the efficiency, but it's also with regards to the confidentiality. You know, when people go to mediation, they are talking like we're talking, you know, privately, confidentially, and in a way where they're not stressed out. But when they go to court, they have to answer yes and no to specific questions, how the question is asked and how the question is phrased by the opposing counsel. That can get very intimidating, and it can scare people off. And so this is why there are so many benefits to trying to find ways to connect outside of court with your opposition. And Natalia and I, we were fortunate enough to get into the organization called instantmediations.com, where we have the opportunity to quickly get to help people who come to us. So if you have a problem in the morning, by evening you should be able to wrap it up instead of waiting months to try to resolve your disputes. So that's instantmediations.com, another place on the internet where we are located, and we encourage you to go out to instantmediations.com and find out what it's all about.
Why we are also so passionate about mediation is that it is voluntary. That gives you control over the process. You know how long it is going to take because you participate as long as you feel that it's still bringing you the outcome, the necessary steps that you want to make towards the agreement. You give only as much information as it is necessary to settle. Of course, it can be at the different moments, including mediation can be a part of the court process. Therefore, if you are already in the court, you also can request mediation in many of the cases that are mediatable.
Yes. So if you have more questions about this topic and mediations generally, please keep watching these shows. We're always going to be having segments on conflict resolution so we can make sure we give the public all the information that they need in order to find ways to resolve their dispute outside of court.
And thank you so much, and we welcome you to our show and encourage you to see more after the break.
Oye, Lily dice que AT&T le da a todos las mejores ofertas.
Minus the air quotes.
Las mejores ofertas.
No need to wink. Others say they give everyone a deal, but not everyone gets the best deal.
Te lo dije, aquí las mejores ofertas son para todos con una variedad de planes.
You were right.
Is she always right?
Always.
En AT&T les damos a todos nuestras mejores ofertas en cada smartphone.
Hey, Lily says AT&T is giving everyone their best deals.
Minus the air quotes.
Best deals.
No need to wink. Others say they give everyone a deal, but not everyone gets the best deal.
Told you, the best deals are for everyone here, with a choice of plans.
You were right.
Is she always right?
Always.
At AT&T, we give everyone our best deals on every smartphone.
Hi, my name is Elias Basabe, founder of Little Maria's Cafe restaurant in West Houston, located in 2901 Wilkers Drive, Suite 137, first floor. Here you will find a family-friendly and relaxed environment where you can enjoy a delicious homemade breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We know you need to get to work fast, and we want you to enjoy a tasty, quality, and healthy homemade food. So come and visit us for a great nutritious meal at an affordable price. We specialize in tasty breakfasts, deli sandwiches, fish, even barbecue cookouts. Little Maria's Cafe has it all. We only use the great quality of Boar's Head meats and products. Just like you, we love to get you up early. Little Maria's Cafe is open from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can dine in with us during breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or we can have it ready for you for pickup. Visit us today on the first floor of the CMPC Center at 2901 Wilkers Drive, Suite 137, first floor. Order now at 832-667-8376, Little Maria's Cafe.
Hey, this is Michael Rager, the host of Biz Talk TV with Michael Rager. Make sure you join us every day, 5 p.m. Central Time on all Now Media channels and social media platforms.
Bienvenidos a Interior Bar Houston, el bar más vibrante de Downtown en la ciudad de Houston. En Interio, la fiesta nunca para. Nuestro DJ de clase mundial te mantendrá bailando toda la noche con la mejor música de hoy y de siempre. Además, aquí encontrarás las mejores bebidas y cócteles. En Interio, nuestro ambiente electrizante y nuestro equipo amigable te asegurarán una noche que nunca olvidarás. Te esperamos de 9:30 a 2 de la mañana. Interio, donde la diversión nunca se detiene.
En esta era digital, las tarjetas de presentación de negocio son cosa del pasado. De hecho, la mayoría de las personas que las reciben las pierden en cuestión de minutos. La videotarjeta de negocios de Now Media es un video de su negocio especialmente creado por nuestros expertos con toda su información de contacto, los productos y servicios de su negocio, y puede ser enviado de manera rápida utilizando su teléfono móvil. Cientos de negocios ya están viendo la diferencia. Llámenos hoy al 832-384-9588.
¿Sueñas con vender tus productos o servicios en Estados Unidos? Pareciera muy difícil, mas no es imposible. Soy Edmundo Treviño y quiero compartir contigo más de 20 años de experiencia promoviendo productos latinoamericanos en el principal mercado del mundo. Si quieres aprender más, sígueme en todas mis redes sociales.
Oye, Lily dice que AT&T le da a todos las mejores ofertas.
Minus the air quotes.
Las mejores ofertas.
No need to wink. Others say they give everyone a deal, but not everyone gets the best deal.
Te lo dije, aquí las mejores ofertas son para todos con una variedad de planes.
You were right.
Is she always right?
Always.
En AT&T les damos a todos nuestras mejores ofertas en cada smartphone.
Hello and welcome after the short break. Now with us, our guest and friend, Brett Lovett, who is a specialist in harassment prevention and training, as well as bullying, harassment and training. And Brett, a warm welcome. You are now in California, I understand.
Yes, I am at this particular moment. So I appreciate being here. I appreciate the work that the two of you do, and I'm glad to participate and contribute in any way that I can with this information.
Yeah, Brett, it's great to see you again. And of course, you're a regular on the LMI podcast. But tell us what you're doing right now with regards to sexual harassment compliance training.
Yeah, so sexual harassment compliance training, as it's referred to, or often I'm contacted about sexual harassment training. Generally, when I get into the training, I try to break it down a little bit more for the institutions, whether they're educational or government or corporate. And it really comes down to understanding three different definitions. That is hostile work environment being one, sexual harassment being two, and bullying being a third. And sometimes they kind of get mixed together. People kind of view them all as one thing, but they really are three separate things. And if you wouldn't mind, I'll break them down
please go
right
into
now.
details of that and break it down for us. So starting with
So I would start with hostile work environment because that's the general rule or law. And generally what I tell groups that I'm speaking to is look at it as an umbrella. So hostile work environment is the umbrella, right, by which everything falls underneath. Sexual harassment is the number one complaint that's filed underneath that umbrella. So generally just saying it like that kind of helps people to understand. So again, it's hostile work environment is the general rule. Sexual harassment is the number one complaint that comes up underneath that. Bullying is essentially also close in definition to hostile work environment. And that definition is any conduct on our part that makes somebody else feel uncomfortable or that is unwelcome. But here's the key difference between bullying and hostile work environment. You could be creating a hostile work environment and not know it or not intend to be doing it. Perhaps you have mannerisms that are okay at home or okay with your friends, but when you come into the workplace, those mannerisms may not be acceptable in the workplace. So you could be creating an environment by showing pictures maybe that you think are okay or by telling jokes that maybe you think that are okay, but you can be creating unknowingly a hostile work environment. What separates bullying as a separate definition is that bullying is creating a hostile work environment with malice, and malice would be intent. So again, we can create a hostile work environment knowingly and unknowingly, but bullying is only bullying because it's done with malice or intent. So I try to separate those three things for individuals or organizations when I come into training.
Go. Yeah, so Brett, the reason that we have you on Legal Talk is because we're always looking at the legal consequences for a lot of these things. So when it comes to bullying, for example, what are some ways businesses and employers can avoid or help avoid all the negative consequences that come from bullying in the workplace? What are some three or four tips that you might give to people out there?
Yeah, great question, Matt. Number one, they've got to get involved with training and development, or what we'll call learning and development. Here's a snag that I see in many organizations or corporations, government. That is, they'll try to have this training given, but they'll just do it once every so often, once every few years. If you really want to make an impact on the workforce or on your people in this subject matter, the training needs to be sustained, or it needs to be consistent. So that's the number one recommendation or suggestion I could make to any organization that may be viewing this, whether you're educational, government, or corporate. You've got to sustain the learning development here in order for people to really make a change in their dispositions and in their conduct. You can't just come in one training and expect in 1 hour or 2 hours to really make an impact on people's lives to where it changes their conduct. But a sustained training program absolutely could do that.
And we understand that you provide such a training, and this is important because from our work with you, we understood that in your training, you are not just training, let us say, HR department workers. I have read some of your reviews, and people were saying that what it actually does to them is like a management skill training. It's like anger management training. It's like personal development path for managers. How do you do that? What's special about it?
Oh, yes, that's a great question and close to my heart, because I started doing these particular programs about 15 years ago. Most of the individuals, even today, most of the individuals that are delivering compliance programs are lawyers. They could be outside consultants coming in to deliver the program. They could be of counsel, meaning in-house attorneys. Generally, lawyers are can tend to be very legalistic in their approach to compliance, very linear. What I mean by that is very much, don't do this, this is okay. Don't say this, this is okay. What I noticed, and some of my colleagues noticed over the years, was maybe in this subject matter, that wasn't the best thing, that wasn't the best approach, because most people inherently know the law just internally. They know not to grab somebody aggressively, right? They know not to treat somebody in a way that makes them feel uncomfortable. Most of us know that inherently. So we saw the need for a change in how we approached it. So do we cover applicable state and federal laws in the training? Absolutely. But we don't spend the majority of our time there. We spend the majority of our time on principles, not on laws. Principles, I'll give you one for example, respect. Respect is really the main principle that we drive in our training. But what does respect mean? We use it all the time. We hear it all the time. But what does it really mean at its core? I'll give you the definition that I give all the organizations when it comes to respect. There's 27 different definitions, okay? And I'm just saying that off the top of my head, meaning there's multiple definitions to respect. Here's the one that I use for the purpose of this subject matter. Doing what is in the best interest of others ahead of ourselves. That essentially is a principled approach in what respect means.
All right. So, Brett, where exactly are you working when you're doing all these compliance trainings? Are you doing them just in just one state, or are you doing them all over the country? What's the, space that you operate in?
Yeah, thank you for asking that, Mac. So we train in all 50 states, and we do it in 3 different modalities. Three different options. Option 1 is what we call on-site. So we'll come to an organization or to an entity wherever they're located, and we'll deliver this training. It could be a supervisor training, managerial training, or it could be the general employee training, meaning those with non-supervisory roles or capabilities. Option B is what we call virtual live or online, like such as Zoom. So we'll come in virtual, live, we'll deliver the presentation. We engage with the workforce, even in a very efficient way through the medium of Zoom. It's actually interesting, and this is Forbes magazine actually even quoted on this. Sometimes virtual live training is actually more effective than even on-site training. So we really encourage organizations that may have the capability to have a screen and allow us to come through on the screen. If you have that capability, that's a really efficient option for getting your workforce trained. That's option B. Option C is pre-recorded. So we have pre-recorded programs where you can just log in online and it's self-paced. It's a self-paced course. Why would an individual or organization need this? For onboarding issues. When they hire, they have 6 months to get people trained legally that are new employees. So they can take the 1 hour employee program or the 2 hour supervisor manager program, whatever their role is, and they can just do it self-paced, and they can do it over the course of a month, and that will qualify their work. So those are the three mediums: on-site in person, virtual live in person, and pre-recorded.
And Brett, there is still a little moment of time, and I wanted to ask you, you mentioned government institutions that might need this training, but what about entrepreneurs? What size of business would require this sort of training? How many employees do you need to have in order to take this training to be efficient, to be useful, and to actually prevent any negative legal consequences?
Yeah, that's a great, you guys you asked such good questions. So it varies by state, but I'm going to give you the most stringent requirements which come out of California. It's any organization with 5 or more employees. So you can imagine if you're an organization that's national or global, that's a lot of employees. You know, doesn't matter whether you have 10,000 or 20,000, you need 5 or more to in order to basically need to qualify or get this training done for your workforce. So that's kind of the general rule I would give everybody. If you're in a state that isn't mandated, every state really suggests this as best practices. So even if you're an organization of 2 people, you really should have the training. But specifically for states that are mandated, it's really 5 or more employees requires you to have this kind of program.
Awesome. Well, Brett, as usual, thank you so much for your insights, and we'll continue to have you on as you educate us more about bullying, hostile workplace environments, and sexual compliance training. So all the best, and signing out until next time.
Thank you so much. And
okay.
I also want to say that we want to use you as an expert in the future. So we would want to have you more, and definitely come and join us. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
My pleasure. Thank you for allowing me.
According to the FBI, a robbery occurs every 13 seconds. Homes and businesses without a reliable security system are 300% more likely to be burglarized. Alert 360 provides custom-tailored rock-solid security solutions to residential and commercial customers. Whether it's home security, fire and carbon monoxide detection, flood protection, connected senior care, managed video surveillance solutions, 24/7 alarm monitoring, and life safety, Alert 360 is your ideal solution. In addition, Alert 360 has smart home and business integrations like access control and video shield for a complete peace of mind, protecting what matters the most and reducing energy costs with our top-of-the-line automatic scheduling functions. Alert 360 offers security services discounts to military personnel, veterans, first responders, educators, and hospital personnel. Don't be a victim. Take a strong step today. Call Rosana Torres at 832-863-8574 for your free consultation.
Are you a business owner feeling overwhelmed or burnt out with no energy left for what's most important to you? In order to effectively run your business and maximize your profits, you have got to be the best possible you that you can be. Now is the time to reclaim your energy, master your schedule, and maximize your profits so you can effectively run your business rather than it running you. It's time to become the CEO of your business and life. I'm Jen Godet, a business strategist and life coach. I work with overwhelmed business owners who feel stuck in a rut and depleted. I teach you how to stop doing the things that aren't making you money and start prioritizing the things that bring you energy, joy, and lasting impact. I'm a human performance specialist and an international best-selling author. I've helped countless people all over the world to learn the art of saying no, overcome their fear, and maximize their performance. Let's get you to live your best possible reality. Start today and become the CEO of your business and your life.
Hey, this is Michael Rager, the host of Biz Talk TV with Michael Rager. Make sure you join us every day, 5 p.m. Central Time on all Now Media channels and social media platforms.
¿Quieres que tu negocio crezca y todo parece indicar que el camino es Estados Unidos? Te dijeron que abras una LLC para que no pagues impuestos, mas no tienes idea de cómo hacerlo. Soy Edmundo Treviño y quiero compartir contigo más de 20 años como empresario en Estados Unidos para que tú no te equivoques en los mismos errores que yo ya realicé. Sígueme en todas las redes sociales para que juntos conquistemos el mercado americano.
Hey, Lily says AT&T's giving everyone their best deals.
Minus the air quotes.
Best deals.
No need to wink. Others say they give everyone a deal, but not everyone gets the best deal.
Told you, the best deals are for everyone here, with a choice of plans.
You were right.
Is she always right?
Always.
At AT&T, we give everyone our best deals on every smartphone.
Hello and welcome after the break. And today with us, our actually co-host in Now Media shows, someone who already interviewed us and who kindly agreed to show his professionalism and knowledge with us here on conflict resolution in businesses outside of the court. And this is
Michael Rager.
Michael Rager.
Mac, I'm so glad I can make you so happy.
Hey, good to see you, Michael.
How are you guys doing today? You guys are just kicking this show off and getting ready to go, huh?
Yeah, we have a lovely mentor in yourself, so we're trying now to combine the forces and see how we can do. And you know a lot about resolving conflicts in businesses, because you go there as a coach and you identify them even before they go to the courts. Can you tell us what sort of conflicts do you see, Michael?
Yeah. It's conflicts in business are a big issue, and there's two main types you've got to look for that I look for as a business coach. Number one is conflict between employee and employer, and those can be really big issues. And if there's partners in the business, it's conflict between the partners, and how do we help the partners avoid those conflicts? Because, as you know, we don't want to end up as business owners, we don't want to end up in business divorce. That's something that can be very, very expensive and very time consuming, and just put a whole lot of animosity in the business. And so, as a business owner, we want to be looking at these things to try to prevent it. That's the thing you really got to look at, is how do we get ahead of these issues before they even get there and stop them. And part of it can be just good documents. You guys know as lawyers, setting up the initial business documents so everybody knows exactly what needs to be done and what needs and how actually conflict will be resolved within the business. That can really help us as business owners see that and kind of avoid it. I hope that was a good initial start from there.
Yeah, so Michael, can you give us just some different examples of the most common types of conflicts that do arise? And maybe from your own personal experience, because I know you have been doing this for a very long time and you've started multiple businesses. And so this is Legal Talk, and we're always interested in how can people stay away from the law and not have legal problems. So what are the common types of conflicts you see?
Sure. The most common type has to be from employees to employer. And it's usually the employer's fault because the employer feels that if they hire an employee, the employee should know everything that they should do. They feel they should just walk in there, they should be able to take care of everything should work smoothly, and the business owner doesn't need any guidance. And one of the things that I feel business owners really need to do is they need to write very good instructions. They need to have a very good workflows. They need to have anything that can help the employee successfully do their job. You know, that's the thing is people go in and they want direction, and they don't understand what's going on in the owner's head, and they don't understand what's coming out. And what happens is the owner's expectations are way more than they should be from what they want, what they should be getting from the employee.
And this is amazing to hear that, because I understand that your work as a business coach is to go inside this organization and to speak with people. I understand that primarily with the business owners. However, they employ you primarily because they want to increase their profits. And I understand that as a, let's say, side effect of your work on the profits of a particular firm, you're identifying certain issues such as conflict with employees. Tell me if I'm right.
No, you're exactly right. It's businesses, they become profitable when they work effectively. The more effective a business operates, the more profitable it is. It has nothing to do with the marketing. It has nothing to do with the branding. It has to do with how well the business functions. From the time you get a client, to the time you deliver your product or service, to the time you end that client engagement. That needs to be very effective, very smooth, and very easy. Once you get that down and you understand exactly how that works, then you can pump money into marketing and branding and all that stuff to start bringing you more revenue. You know, I've got a client right now. It's one of the things that he's dealing with is he's got new employees. He really hasn't spent the time to tell them exactly what they need to do. They've gone in and have done the work, and they've done subpar work. And they've had to go back and do rework. And the rework costs them profit because it's they got to use product again. They got to use the service again. They're not going to be able to hit another client today and service them. So those are the things that we need to do. So we've got to get very good at understanding and delivering our product or service to our client first. Then we can go ahead and expand, and then we can go in and hit more marketing. That's where a lot of businesses fail. They go hire a business coach because the business coach says, hey, I can, I really hate to say this because on my business card it says I can find you $100,000 in new revenue in 45 minutes or less, because that's what the business owner wants to hear. I mean, it is. It's a marketing ploy. It's what the business owner wants to hear. They don't want to hear is, let me help you go fix your systems and processes, because that's not sexy. If I tell them I can give you $100,000, that's sexy. They want to hear that. But they hire business coaches that all they can do is do lead generation. Well, the thing is, if the company can't deliver, that business coach is going to put that business in a bad position, and they have the potential to potentially lose money because they're not working effectively and efficiently.
Yes. So, Michael, when we had you last time on the podcast, you were discussing some personal anecdotes. One of them was your own personal experience in working with a colleague out in Australia in a business that you were helping to create, and just in case there's ever a business divorce. And so again, the goal for a lot of people is to avoid lawyers and courts in your business and in your lives later. What were some of your experiences personally that you would want to pass on to others?
Well, I think I've got a very good relationship with my lawyer. Probably because my lawyer is my client. So we work well together. We've helped him grow his company. We helped him grow his firm. And he's gone through some challenges. But I think number one is, one of the things you've got to do as a business owner is get a lawyer that you trust. And you've got to go in there and trust them to help you do what you need to do. Because we're going up and we're going to have to set up entities here in the U.S. that are going to hold the shell of the corporation. We're going to have, LLCs under the S Corp. And we're going to have, LLCs or the equivalent of them in Australia that come into the parent company. But my partner and I, we made sure at the beginning, we said, hey, look, the best laid plans of mice and men, right? That's the story. They said, hey, look, we love each other now. We want to make sure that neither one of us ticks each other off. So let's just right now go in and write our documents so they seem fair to both of us in case anything happens, that we're not going to go destroy each other if we get pissed off. That's what we don't want to do. We don't want to get ticked off to start with, but we're just going to plan ahead. And we're just going to plan ahead. We're not planning to fail, but we're just planning in case something happens, that we're going to go make sure that all the entities that we need to take care of, our spouses, our kids, and all that, they're taken care of and they don't get dragged into this. So, that was an important thing to both Chris and I when we did this.
And all of that, your business coaching, setting up companies in different countries, seems so formal, so rigid. However, we do know that you do something as a part of your business which is also fun and can prevent conflicts as well, because when people like each other, when they understand each other, and when they're able to commingle, that actually helps. Tell us something about your other side of business, please.
Well, I think business needs to be fun no matter what we do. And so both my companies, I think, are fun. Teach Your Business to Fish is my coaching company. I think it's fun because I love fishing. If you take people out on a fishing boat for a couple days, you get them to get together and they get to understand each other. And we use a lot of fishing analogies. But then there's whiteboards and whiskey, which you've got up there. Who can get mad at each other when you're just sipping some good fine whiskey? I mean, that's the important thing. And what I've done is I'm 57 years old now, and I got sick of working for other people who wanted me to do things that I didn't enjoy. So what I did is I went out and I helped form companies that I enjoy. I'm doing things that I enjoy, and that's what I want to do. I said, I'm getting too old for this other crap, and I don't want to do that, so let's just go out and have fun. And so Whiteboards and Whiskey came out of it. I love going out with my friends and having a whiskey, having a cigar, and talking business. Now what we did is we just found a way to make money doing it.
Awesome. So, Michael, with 1 minute left, can you tell people how they can get a hold of you?
Sure. The easiest way to get us is michael@teachyourbusinesstofish.com, and they can phone me 713-201-5559. We've got a Whiteboards and Whiskey page on Facebook. We got a Teach Your Business to Fish page on Facebook. They can catch us there. LinkedIn as well. We've got everything there. You can find me on all the major social media platforms except TikTok. Nobody wants to see me singing and dancing. It's not a good thing.
But we definitely want to see you drinking whiskey, and we definitely want you to see helping others building their businesses and avoiding conflicts. Thank you so much, Michael, for having the time and making the time for us, and that's been a pleasure. And we're looking forward to having you with us with another topic.
Okay, did you like my shirt? I want this shirt for you. It's actually got a collar on it. I think that's the first time you guys have seen me with a shirt with a collar on it. So I did that just for you.
Thank you so much. That's so special, Michael. That's actually very touching. Thank you so much.
All right, you guys have a great day.
You too.
You too.
Until next time.
Bienvenidos a Interior Bar Houston, el bar más vibrante de Downtown en la ciudad de Houston. En Interior, la fiesta nunca para. Nuestro DJ de clase mundial te mantendrá bailando toda la noche con la mejor música de hoy y de siempre. Además, aquí encontrarás las mejores bebidas y cócteles. En Interio, nuestro ambiente electrizante y nuestro equipo amigable te asegurarán una noche que nunca olvidarás. Te esperamos de 9:30 a 2 de la mañana. Interio, donde la diversión nunca se detiene.
¿Estás cansado de la inseguridad, la situación económica y de ya sabes quién? ¿Te gustaría salir de México y emigrar a Estados Unidos? Soy Edmundo Treviño y quiero compartir contigo más de 20 años como inmigrante emprendedor en Estados Unidos. Sígueme en todas mis redes sociales para que juntos logremos ese gran sueño de emigrar y lograr conquistar el mercado americano.
Hey everybody, welcome back. So Mac Pierre here with my colleague Natalia Laska. And so this segment we're discussing online courts and we're speaking in this context. The world's changing so fast. Technology is here, it's evolving, and it's changing whole industries. I mean, we look at electronic cars, for example. The automotive industry has changed because of technology. Look at the airline industry. You go back in the day, you would have to go and to a studio, or not a studio, but to a flight attendant person, or at what do we call these places where you go to the office to buy your ticket to travel. Now it's all online. Nobody goes to a travel agency. That's what I want to say. Nobody goes to a travel agency anymore. They go online and book it. Technology has completely revolutionized this industry. Or another industry like banking. Back in the day, you would have to go to a physical bank to do anything, and you would write paper checks. Now you will strictly go online to do all your online banking, which is in many ways safer than going to a physical bank. I know where you're from, Natalia. You don't even use paper checks anymore.
Yeah.
And so we have these examples of where technology has changed industries, where it's also changed our field of the law. And so in Legal Talk, we wanted to discuss a little bit about how technology has changed the court systems and what online courts, as we call them, is all about.
And no need to say that it is the reality of all of us today because of the pandemic. Because after the first initial lockdown, the courts needed to find a way to start operating again. But how could you do that when all the sanitary restrictions were still in place? And the technology was already there. People were using tools like Skype, WhatsApp. But what sort of technology would be best adapted to use for such a massive system as judicial system of the entire country? How, during this process, all the guarantees for the just trial would be preserved? How to make it all. And surprise, surprise, sooner or later, most of the countries really did it. And so as far as I know, here in Texas, the courts still operate on Zoom. Where I am in Poland, the courts are operating on Microsoft Teams, as well as the Ministry of Justice is developing its own specially designed court system, because it's not just a regular virtual meeting. It has to have certain features. So, for example, the ability for us as lawyers in Poland has been to share the screen has been turned off. I can't be sharing any information from the level of my computer. You can't also chat with the judge. So this technology needed to be adapted to be suitable to serve justice.
And so, like Natalia says, during COVID, that's when all these changes started happening, and exponential. Yes, we had all these tools to be able to communicate electronically, for decades around. But once the lockdowns happened and people are in their homes having to appear on court remotely, then people started looking around. Hey, you know what? These tools are actually quite helpful. And when COVID started waning, we started realizing, hey, these tools can stick around. They don't just have to help the travel agency or the, any other kind of industry. It can also help the legal industry. And so going forward, we now have to think through, okay, how are we going to live in this new world where we're doing legal things all online? Natalia and I, we had a chance during the pandemic to record a video on our YouTube channel, on the LMI podcast. You can go check it out, where it basically shows a few lawyers and some clients, fake clients, and a real judge game playing and role playing a video where they do a true online contested hearing, all remote, all many, many miles apart, but yet they're able to administer justice, able to present facts and evidence, able to have interview witnesses, able to cross-examine witnesses, able to share evidence on screen sharing that you had mentioned a second ago. And so we made it work, and that video has garnered thousands and thousands of views because people were interested. How does this online court thing actually work? So we want to give you a few tips on how to make sure that your online court experience is going to be a worthwhile one. And if you do find yourself being summoned to go to court and it's going to require for you to appear on Microsoft Teams or on Zoom, hopefully these tips will be of help to you so that you can represent yourself or have your lawyer represent you as best as possible. So you have a few tips in mind, Natalia?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Because no matter what we're seeing is that the online courts are here to stay. So you can't just think, oh, we are done with the pandemics. And so now what? What also is important that the practice showed that there are some types of cases that are particularly suitable for that. These are the things that are, let's say, very typical. Where the presence is of rather formal nature. That was quite, that was putting some of the attorneys at ease. And now, however, when courts are operating both physically, in person and online, that causes a little bit of a confusion. Because you never know whether you are going to be hit with an online hearing or whether you are going to attend in person, and it's always worthwhile to double check. Having said that, we wanted to give you some tips that can be grouped into two actually things. One will be technical and the other practical. And technical is the basis without which you actually can't participate.
So just make sure that, well, practically speaking, that one, you have your device, that you have Zoom installed or whatever the tool is you're using. Make sure that you have good internet connection, because if you don't, the experience is going to be horrible. Last thing you need is for somebody to be guessing at what you're saying. You want to make sure that you have good, strong video performance so that if you say X, X is what's recorded. Most of the time in courts, especially when it's a contested hearing, there's a stenographer there typing away of everything that is being said. That court reporter, as we call them, is someone who is keeping track of what's being said. And I've been in Zoom hearings before where things didn't quite get caught, by the reporter, and the reporter has to interrupt the whole process of events to basically say, hey, I didn't hear what you had to say. Normally in a courtroom, the court reporter would tell the person, hey, speak up, I didn't catch that. But on Zoom, now the court reporter is having to say things like, your internet broke. So last thing you need is that kind of headache.
And please also understand the basic features of the software you are using. When you are appearing on Zoom, download the app, the same with Microsoft Teams. Be confident while using it. You know how to mute yourself. Know how to leave the meeting when you are asked to do so. So be sure that you have good light. This is a nightmare when you have people who appear and you are not even able to see their trades because they are like a blob that's not recognizable. So good camera. Also, please remember, this is for your comfort. You need to be able what other people hear. You can have your headphones on, whatever is more suitable for you. However, please remember, this is all about a resolution that is going to impact you, or when you are a witness, your statements can be helpful to other people getting their justice. So it is a serious thing.
So the more we take all this seriously, the better prepared we're going to be. But also, the more likely it is that courts of the future are going to learn from the mistakes that we have been making. Because let's face it, most of the judges and lawyers of today who are working through all of this, we're all going through it for the first time. Nothing like this has ever been done before. So this is the first time we at a global scale are all trying to operate with technology and the law in such a fashion. And so where does this go? If we play our cards right and we do things right and we come to court, Zoom court, prepared, and we come with an attitude that this is here to stay, it's not going away like many people thought a few years ago, then perhaps in the future we're going to be having a court system that where people know where they're going to go, when they're going to go, how it's going to operate. They're going to know have new rules of evidence that are applying to technology. This is the future, and so we want to make sure that we can do it right. And so hopefully even the lawmakers who are listening to this will get on board to try to promulgate laws and rules and regulations that will help foster a court system that's actually going to protect the public, provide justice for more people instead of less. And that's one of our big hopes. We hope that technology and the advancement of it will actually promote just better outcomes for people everywhere. So with that, Natalia, you want to close us out?
Yes, but before I do that, I also want to tell you a very good tip. Online courts are still courts. And that means you need to dress up appropriately. Be there on time. Yesterday, being physically with Mark in Houston, in the Harris County courts, I could see myself that people who were on Zoom and didn't turn up were actually, their cases were dismissed. So nobody was waiting for them. Being on time, therefore, is a very good and practical tip. And also, please remember, please stay in appropriate surroundings. Please make the time. Again, my greatest surprise was that you're to appear on a certain hour, but you don't know where you are going to live. So you can't just say, oh, that'll be 15 minutes. No, that actually your 15 minutes can be 4 hours. So make sure your pets are taken care of, that children are under the proper supervision, and that you are not having any noisy background. All the things that will really make it be decent and good experience.
So thanks for following us on this channel today, for watching us. And make sure you check us out on the LMI Podcast. That's at LMI Podcast. That's on Twitter. That's on social media and on YouTube, of course. And, of course, the Now Media channel that we're on, Legal Talk. That's the channel. That's the episode name that you're watching today. Be sure to check out our website, alaskapierre.com. That's Alaska in Pierre. And so until next time, guys, we hope that you will tune in continuously and watch all the great segments that we have prepared for you. Thank you so much.
See you next week and enjoy your day.
This has been a Now Media Television feature presentation. All rights reserved.
Oye, Lily dice que AT&T le da a todos las mejores ofertas.
Minus the air quotes.
Las mejores ofertas.
No need to wink. Others say they give everyone a deal, but not everyone gets the best deal.
Te lo dije, aquí las mejores ofertas son para todos con una variedad de planes.
You were right.
Is she always right?
Always.
En AT&T les damos a todos nuestras mejores ofertas en cada smartphone.
Según el FBI, un robo ocurre cada 13 segundos. Los hogares y negocios sin un sistema de seguridad confiable tienen 300% más de probabilidades de ser robados. Alert 360 proporciona soluciones de seguridad sólidas y personalizadas a clientes residenciales y comerciales, ya sea seguridad en el hogar, detección de incendios y monóxido de carbono, protección contra inundaciones, atención conectada para personas mayores, soluciones de vigilancia administradas por video, monitoreo de alarma las 24 horas al día,
7 días a la semana y seguridad de personas. Alert 360 es su solución ideal. Además, Alert 360 tiene integraciones inteligentes para el hogar y el negocio, para una total tranquilidad, protegiendo lo más importante y reduciendo los costos de energía con nuestras funciones de programación automática de primera línea. Alert 360 ofrece descuentos en servicios de seguridad a personal militar, veteranos, primeros respondientes, educadores y personal hospitalario. No seas víctima, da un paso fuerte hoy. Llame a Rosana Torres al 832-863-8574 para su consulta gratuita.
¿Eres licenciado, ingeniero, abogado o enfermero? ¿Biólogo, agrónomo, veterinario o contador? ¿Administrador, mercadólogo o economista? ¿Te gustaría tener una oportunidad para trabajar de manera remota para empresas estadounidenses o incluso emigrar? En The US Marketer estamos buscando oportunidades para mexicanos con esas carreras. Si quieres aprender más, visita nuestra página para más información.